What's going on, guys? Aaron from PhoneDog.com here, and the Motorola Photon 4G is arguably one of the best, if not the best, Android handset, or handset period, on Sprint. But there's a contender that came up behind it and kind of surprised it, took it by storm with a late software update, and that's the Motorola Atrix 4G. It's packing Gingerbread now, making these devices pretty similar in a lot of ways. Dual-core 1 GHz processors, 4-inch display here, 4.3-inch over here, 5-megapixel camera on the Atrix, 8-megapixel. Actually, in specs-wise, they don't really seem that similar, but they're both running Motorola's applications platform and, of course, Android 2.3. Which one's the one to get? We'll find out in the Dogfight. First, special thanks to my buds at Best Buy, because when you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working regardless of which device you get. They'll help you set up your email, your web, and more. They hook us up with a bunch of phones in our One Paw Bandit game, so we love to give them a special shout in our videos. Here it comes, Motorola Photon 4G, Motorola Atrix 4G. I was trying to get 4G to work so we could connect and make it kind of fair, since this is running HSPA+, but I'm not seeming to, I'm not able to get a 4G connection. So let's load up PhoneDog on both of these. It just may take a little bit longer on, let's see if I can get it to load. Wow! Usually swipe doesn't work that well for me. So PhoneDog.com, we'll try to load that up quickly. And then over here, data speeds have been pretty reasonable. Let's try that one more time. Let's see if I can make it happen twice. PhoneDog.com. .com. PhoneDog.com. Yeah! That's super cool. Anyway, so both of these are running very similar browsers, obviously. And so PhoneDog's loading right now. And what I'll show you while this one's, actually that one, let's let it take its sweet time. We'll go over here to Windows, for example, and you can see that unlike HTC Sense, unlike TouchWiz, there's no physical preview of the page. So it doesn't show me where I left off on PhoneDog. It just shows me the text, the header, and then shows me PhoneDog. So if I open up a second window, for example, and then go back, it just shows shows text. It doesn't show pictures. So it's one of those minor things, but still I happen to like that on Sense and on TouchWiz. This is more stock Android in regards to that. But you can see pinch to zoom on this device, pretty responsive across the board. And obviously, you know, it is flash capable, so that you see the advertisements running in the background. And pinch to zoom, very responsive. And then of course transitions between portrait and landscape, pretty good as well. And it's funny to watch the evolution of the Android browser just over the years that I've been doing this. Because it was terrible, honestly. When it first came out, I mean, it was a decent browser, but it was laggy. You know, flash advertising didn't work there for a while, and it was kind of slow, you know, to render things like that. And it seems much faster, and the pinch to zoom is pretty impressive on all these devices. You used to, some would be, like 1 or 2 would be great with pinch to zoom, and the rest would be terrible. I haven't had one in quite some time that's really been really bad in the pinch to zoom department. So you can see there, and that's what it looks like on a 4-inch display. Now compare that to the 4.3-inch display over here on the Photon. You can kind of see the size difference between these two. So let's, this one's still loading, so don't take these speed tests to heart in terms of pinch to zoom, but still pretty reasonable on the pinch to zoom front. And same thing like I was showing you with the Windows over here. It's just text, so no nice transitions. And then here's portrait to landscape, and it's nice and quick. And again, that transition effect looks fantastic. So it's still loading up. Okay, it's fully loaded now. So let's go in here. You can see pinch to zoom, very responsive on this device as well. Now I want to show you the Android market, and I don't want to show you on both, but I'm going to pull them up on both anyway. The new Android market, which is rolling out right now. If your Android phone doesn't have it, it's supposed to get it in the coming days or in the coming weeks pretty quickly. And this one just got it about 20 minutes ago. So what I would recommend doing, you know, force stop the market, clear the cache, and see if that helps you get it quicker. I found that once I did that, I actually just did that on this one a few minutes ago. And now the new market is here. But you can see it's organized by apps, games, books, and movies. Then you have some featured stuff over here, your featured app, your featured book, your featured movie, and then of course a little advertisement there for Google+, and you can scroll up and down and see. So it's more of this boxy type look where they just scatter boxes, kind of a tile system, very similar to Windows Phone. So you can see that, you know, again, the difference between the 4 and the 4.3-inch display. But let's load it into, go into apps here, for example. And let's go in and wait for it to load. And you can see the little transition differences, like that little icon there is different. It's something that's new to Gingerbread, or to this Motorola applications platform, rather. But you can see the featured apps here, and again, how it's just little random boxes. It really draws your attention in with these smaller boxes, and then with the bigger ones. And again, you know, a super big one there. So we can go into AT&T, for example, and see the applications that they recommend. You can see the star ratings, and you can see how, again, they're boxed up. So let's go into just go, let's see, what, it doesn't really matter, Slacker Radio, for example. And you can see up here it's going to show you some screenshots, where I can click on those and bring up those and go back. And it shows you the ability to share. I can search, I can go to the Android market or go back to the page I was at before, download, and go down here and see the description, what's new, videos and reviews, developer, and then related info, and then the market content. Of course, it looks pretty similar in landscape as well, just a few more pictures since it's a longer display that we're working with. So you can see it just a clean, good look to it, and you know, another improvement to the Android market. I remember it seems like just yesterday that it was updated, but a much better look over here. So we'll go back and get into some speed tests. Let's run a quadrant standard test so we can see what that's like on both of these devices. This is going to be an ultimate test, and we'll go into quadrant standard on this one as well. Now, one thing I'll tell you, talking about call quality, Motorola just knocks it out of the park when it comes to wireless call quality, or when it comes to wireless radios. So call quality has been phenomenal on both of these. I took both of these to dead zones in their respective areas, and I've just been so impressed with the. This one just blows the Evo 3D out of the water, at least in the call quality department. When I take this to a fringe sprint area, it still has 1 to 2 bars, and calls are crystal clear on the Photon 4G. Same thing with the Atrix. Actually, the iPhone 4 was kind of the reigning champ on the AT&T side in terms of wireless radio. It was pretty impressive when you didn't hold down that little side piece and screw up with the screw the antenna and try that one more time. Screw up the antenna attenuation. Say that 3 times fast. That's probably the hardest thing I've ever said on camera. But this one is definitely a fantastic performer in the wireless reception department. I don't know why I just loaded up speed test. I'm losing my mind. Let's see here, quadrant standard. We'll load that up and run the full benchmark over here as well. So call quality has been fantastic. Battery life has been decent on both of these. That said, the battery life award goes to the Atrix 4G just because it has a bigger battery in the back, 1,930 milliamp hours as opposed to 1,650 over here. So combined with the fact this one's a large display, so it's powering a bright, large display, and has a smaller battery, you're going to see better battery life out of the Atrix 4G. So let's wait for these to finish up. Finished up on the Photon, and it brings up a score of 2,542. So again, take these with a grain of salt because benchmark scores don't really show off real life performance. Both of these have been fantastic in day-to-day use, especially with the Gingerbread update on the Atrix. But 2,542 over here, and this one's a little bit behind, so we'll wait for that one to finish. 2,542. While that's finishing, I'm going to go in here and load up speed test and make sure everything's configured. Yep, looks good there. And we'll wait for this one. Here we go. 2,542 versus 2,472. So just ever so slightly behind, but still a great improvement in both of these. I think you'll be very happy in the speed departments with either one of these. So speedtest.net loaded up. Let's do some network performance tests. And let me try one more time to get the 4G to kick on the Photon. And it's not because the 4G radio is bad. I'm just in a fringe sprint area when it comes to 4G. And obviously because their 4G is in a high megahertz frequency, the higher the megahertz frequency, the harder it is to penetrate walls. So you walk inside with Sprint's WiMAX, and unfortunately you lose the connection in a lot of cases. So we're going to do 3G over here, but just to give you an idea of the speed test differences, this is running HSPA+, this is running 3G, so we can see CDMA EVDO revision A. So we can see actually this one looks like more like it's running HSPA right now because of these slower speeds. But just to give you a rough network comparison, you can see and the Sprint one seems to be doing exceptionally well tonight. So kudos to Sprint, 1.14 megabits per second. Still not very fast, but much better than what it's been in recent weeks. It's been hovering between 0.10 and 0.30 megabits per second. So over here, 0.91 and then 0.22. So you can see the results that I've seen as of late. I've seen 2, 3, 1, and all the way up to, in some cases, 4 megabits per second on the Atrix. And then over here, just to show you some of the speed test differences. Wait for that to load. The upload, 1.20 megabits per second on the upload, not 65 megabits per second. That's a little bit of a system error. But you can see the speed test that I've seen recently, so you can see where it's been. So Sprint's 3G, usually not the fastest in the world, but it's been pretty impressive, at least right now. So both of these devices are fantastic. I think you'd be happy with either one that you pick, and especially since this Gingerbread update on the Atrix is just phenomenal. Phenomenal piece of hardware. So we'll test the cameras on both of these before we sign off. 8 megapixels over here, 5 over on the Atrix, and we'll bring up, let's say, how about my wallet? We'll take a picture of my wallet with the Fossil logo. Let's see here. And you can see there's no option to turn on autofocus. It's either press, zoom in, or nothing. Now you can do it from the screen. See here. And we'll take that fossil picture so you can see it over here. There's what it looks like on the Photon, or that's what it looks like on the Photon rather. And you can see with the new blur, or with the new Motorola applications platform, some of the new features that come in the camera. Now this doesn't have a physical camera button, so we'll have to use the on-screen button. And we'll load it up. So again, for a 5 megapixel camera, it's still a pretty impressive camera in comparison to the Photon, so you can see the differences here. Camera department obviously goes to the Photon 4G, but still, it isn't bad in well-lit situations on either of these devices. They're not going to replace your point and shoot, but still not bad at all. Now just to show you here what the gallery looks like, this is a change to Motorola with the new Motorola applications platform. This is the new change here with the gallery. It shows again a smattering of your pictures, and you can click there. Just kidding, you can go into my library and you can see all the different pictures. And then you can go from there. So you have some new organization options like albums, tags, locations, and more. And that comes on both the Photon and on the Atrix 4G. Now, winner has to be declared in this dogfight, and because of the features, I'm giving it to the Atrix 4G. Just because, same processor, but bigger display. They both have PenTile displays, but bigger display, better camera, slightly better camera, global roaming capabilities, and the kickstand. So from an entertainment perspective, fantastic device. Now, if you're looking for a device with the better battery life, the Atrix is going to be your device. And if you want something, obviously, you're on AT&T, you don't want to switch, this is going to be your Android device. I think the Atrix is the best Android device available on AT&T right now. It went from the worst, or not the worst, but one of the worst, all the way up to the best, just with a minor software update. So I'm really impressed as to the performance. But the Photon 4G, just because of the well-rounded specs that come on the Photon 4G, it is the winner of the dogfight. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with both of these devices, the Photon, the Atrix, and several other devices, because the dogfights must go on, and they're going to be available only on PhoneDog.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. We're giving away a bunch of tablets, stuff like the Galaxy Tab 10.1, and that was a really terrible shot of the Galaxy Tab 10.1, but you get the idea, and the greatest tech giveaway ever. So be sure to like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDog. And hey, come say hi to me on Twitter as well, PhoneDog_Aaron, and on my personal Facebook page at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. Thanks so much for watching. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage, and as always, we'll see you next time.